I don't know. For me personally, happiness, it's within you. People can be rich and not happy. People can be poor and very happy. The optimism and happiness, it's inside, I think, all of us. But money definitely brings you that peace of mind. You sleep better.
Yeah, I would say the same, with the exception that I see money as kind of a foundation. It's just a fact that you got to have in life. And if you build that foundation well, it's not the importance or the important part of being happy. It just allows you to do all those things easier.
You're listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, where you'll hear the stories and interviews of everyday millionaires. We'll unveil their decisions, their strategies, and their current portfolio allocation. Now to your hosts, Clark Sheffield and Jace Mattinson.
Welcome back to another episode of the Millionaires Unveiled podcast. This is episode number 160. Clark, what's going on? How you doing?
Good. How about you? 160. I think this is, are we 3 years? When did we start this? The first week of November in 2017?
Yeah. This is our third year anniversary. It's super, it's tremendous where we've come from. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And we just did 3 interviews tonight, right? So 3 interviews for a 3-year anniversary.
Yeah, basically.
And we got a fun one with you coming up, right?
Yeah, I think we've had several listeners reach out and have asked, when we're going to do an episode. And so I have decided that I'll do one. And you and I are going to record it here pretty soon. And we'll be releasing it here before the end of the year at some point. They kind of detail my journey on the Millionaires Unveiled podcast, on my own podcast. I guess, can we do that?
That'll be our first one together, right? Live together versus being in separate locations. And it'll be with you, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming, and I know we've had several listeners that have asked for it, and we've told them that we would do it in the future at some point. And I think that future has come upon us, part of the 3rd year anniversary. And I think just the timing's right. And 2020, heck, why not do something fun?
Yeah, I'm going to drill you with some real questions. Now that you feel like we know what we've asked, maybe I'll reach out to some of our millionaires and say, hey, what can I throw at him, right?
What are
some curveballs that we can stump Jace with? Yeah. Get some new rapid fire questions in there so you can't prepare answers.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, we were talking a little bit before the show too, just about some of the evolution of things that have changed, and we've had a couple interviews tonight, and one was probably one of the elder millionaires we've had on the podcast before, kind of at the later stages of his career, about when a lot of people in fact retire or shoot to retire. And he talked about health being so valuable, and really health is wealth. And we had another on that's much younger and kind of had that I've had it moment realization that time was so valuable to him, and he was a lot of that time was slipping away because he was basically working and spending so much money on things that he didn't really care about and racking up debt.
Yeah. So they were both so interesting to me. These are just interviews we did tonight because they were totally different. On one hand, you had a guy who was a multimillionaire in his late 60s. On the other hand, you got someone in his mid 30s who was at, I think, 575. So you had somebody who was on their way, someone who's past the millionaire status and they both came to the same realization. The older one told a story about his dad getting in a bad car accident, I believe, right, and becoming paralyzed from the neck down. And he said, that's when I realized that this is health over wealth, right? I had all this money. I had this wealth. I had a nice house. I had this and that. And this is him speaking about his dad. And at any moment, I would give that all up to have my health back. And so I that just struck me hearing that story. I mean, look, we hear a lot of stories, right? A lot of amazing stories on this show and a lot of unique perspectives, but that story struck me. And then right after that, we spoke to this gentleman who's at 575. He's a nurse. He's in his mid 30s. He has a little bit more of a flexible schedule. And he said, I'm starting to value the same thing. I'm starting to see, I want to be with my kids growing up. I want to see what they're doing. I want to take them to hockey practice. And so it's just a theme, I think, that we're starting to notice more and more regularly. This is what people value. They want the time. They want the flexibility. And part of it is enjoying it along the way. We've talked about that. But a lot of these millionaires, too, are wondering how they can enjoy it further.
And that reminds me of the Dalai Lama when he was asked what surprises him most about humanity. And he said, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he's never going to die, and then he dies having never really lived. And I think we saw that the example of both those people tonight. Very much different ends of the spectrum, wealth-wise, age-wise, and a bunch else, but definitely coming to that realization that the Dalai Lama says. Anyway, so last week we had Tom. He's 39 years old, grew up a family of 13 kids. In fact, he was the oldest of 13. He now lives overseas. He has 8 children, and he talks about saving and investing under those parameters, which is super interesting, how to navigate building wealth while raising several children. His current net worth of over $800,000, which includes 2 rental properties and about $200,000 in retirement accounts. On today's show, we have Rina and Justin. They have a net worth of $1.35 million. He is an active duty military member. 80% of his wealth is invested in real estate, primarily single-family homes and some townhomes, and about 15% in retirement accounts invested in the stock market. We appreciate you tuning in week after week to the podcast. We'd love it if you'd leave us a 5-star review on either iTunes or Stitcher. It continues to help us grow the show and reach new millionaire interviewees. Also, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, we have a few sponsorship opportunities. Please reach out, millionairesunveiled@gmail.com. Without any further delay, let's get into today's episode with Rina and Justin.
Justin and Rina, do you want to just give us a little bit about your background and what you're up to now?
Yes, I'm active duty military, currently stationed overseas in Italy, and hoping to retire here in the next 2.5-3 years.
Yes, and hi, Jason Clark. It's so good to be on the show. We love the show. It's very inspiring. It's like continuous millionaire next door. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So what is y'all's net worth today?
We're at 1.35.
Wow. And how is that broken up?
It's about 80% in real estate, 5% in cash, and 15% in retirement.
Okay, let's dive into that a little bit. So you got quite a bit in real estate. Is it single-family homes, multifamily? What's the makeup of the real estate?
Primarily single-family homes. We got 3 townhomes, and then the rest are single-family homes.
Wow, and what's the story behind the accumulation of all those rentals? I mean, obviously, you in the military you moved around a little bit. Are these each individual residents you used to be in, or have you picked them up as you've moved, or what's the story there?
Well, it's all started kind of by luck, I think, accidental. I purchased first apartment when I was 23 years old with my mother. It was an opportunity. It was beat up old apartment that we purchased for $55,000 in 2005 and sold it in 2013 for $210,000, which gave us all that cash to go and cash buy a few townhomes.
And you lived in that initial one, though?
No, we bought those townhomes, and we purchased our first house that we lived in, single-family home, with a VA loan.
Okay.
And then from there, as we had those first couple rentals, and then we PCS'd the first time, we put that single-family home on the market as well for rent, bought our house up in Washington, and then from there it was just PCS moves. We bought and moved and so on and so forth until we accumulated.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable. So, Rina, that first home that you bought for $55,000 that you ended up selling, was that something that your condo or whatever, is that something that you lived in, though, for the time being?
No, not really. It was a very small apartment that we renovated completely, including like windows, doors, floors, everything, and rented it out.
So it was distressed when you purchased it initially then?
It was absolutely distressed.
Okay, so you got a screaming deal, $55,000, ended up putting in how much money into it before you rented it out?
About $15,000.
Oh, okay. So you're in it $70,000, and then you turned around and started renting it, and that's what really started the snowball. Essentially, got you the leverage to be able to then turn the profit of that sale into some townhomes, and then you continued to accumulate.
Townhomes.
Wow,
that's right. Yes.
Wow, that's pretty remarkable. So,
and because the numbers add up so well, 2 years later, I purchased another apartment, but that was 165,000 with 30% down and leverage the rest.
okay, makes sense. So, as you were starting this journey and accumulating these properties, was it your goal to become a landlord and now an overseas landlord?
No. I don't think so. 23, I wasn't thinking about it. We just had some cash saved, and that sounded, the numbers made sense. But after purchasing the second one, because I grew up in a country that's so small, the prices just keep on going up continuously. It made sense. At least I didn't know what to do with the cash that I was saving. Just keeping it in the bank didn't make much sense, as real estate just keep going up in prices. Yeah,
it's interesting you bring that up. Let's actually shift gears here, because you mentioned you have 5% in cash. Why do you have 5%? How have you arrived at that being the amount to hold in cash? I'm assuming that's in savings, or is that just sitting on the sidelines ready for the next deal?
It's sitting on the sidelines, waiting either for real estate deal or market to drop down.
Good. And the amount that you have in retirement accounts, is that invested in equities or bonds? How is that broken up?
It's all in equities. We're boring investors. We're all in index funds, small cap, large cap, and tech mutual fund.
And is that military retirement, IRA, or what's the breakup there?
We have it all in the Roth, IRAs, and his TSP.
Okay.
Yeah, I've turned my TSP. Since we're stationed overseas, we get pretty good cost of living allowance and everything. So I've turned my TSP up, and I'm putting $3,000 a month into that. I'm maxing that out every year, and then we have 2 more Roth accounts, one for each of us, that we max out.
Wow, good for you guys. And just for our listeners, Rina and Justin are married. Right, Rina grew up or was born in Russia, rather. Justin in the U.S. If you guys are comfortable sharing, how did you guys meet?
He was stationed in Asia. I was traveling in Asia. And for the 5 days that I was visiting the country, we've met and I think fell in love, but, wasn't expecting much out of a relationship. We both were after the serious relationships. Exchanged numbers and wanted to see where it goes. And here we are, 3 kids later.
Well, awesome. Congratulations. And obviously congrats on your success. So how many times, I know you mentioned before the show, and you guys can share if you want, but I know the rentals, you have 8 rentals, right? 3 townhomes, you said, 5 single families, right, in 2 different locations in the U.S. How many times have you moved for the military for work? And is the location of those rentals because of that? Is that where you lived? I assume so.
Yes, correct. I actually didn't start accumulating the properties that we lived in until later on in my career. The first part, I spent a lot of it overseas, so I couldn't buy anything. But yes, when we lived in Florida, we bought the one single family home that we lived in. Then we bought the other townhomes on the side. We moved to Washington. We purchased our single family home there, lived in that, and then she came across a good deal while I was on deployment, and it was just a couple houses down the street. So she put everything together. I came home, and she told me we have to pack everything up and move into that house because it was going to save us on our interest rate. So we did. And then I went back out to sea a few weeks later, and didn't really get to spend much time in that house. But that's how we got our 2 in Washington. Somewhere, I think prior to that was when she came across 2 houses in Florida through our property manager down there, and told me that she wanted to pick those up. So we did that. Yeah, so it's kind of been not just PCS moves putting us into a new house, but a little bit of luck as well, coming across the right deal, keeping our eyes open all the time.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's, I think, one piece of the luck is looking for the opportunities and then being willing to do it, right?
Absolutely.
When the opportunity comes. So what's the price? I know you mentioned one of them was about $165,000, but is that about the ballpark on these? I know, Rina, you mentioned that the earlier ones were maybe a little less, but how much are you purchasing each of these for about?
I think in Florida, the single family homes were between 165 and 220. The Washington definitely priced differently. It was 250 and 330. The last property that we bought very accidentally. We purchased it for $335. It was 2018. Right now it's appraised for $410.
Wow. Wow. Good for you.
Yes, Washington, definitely.
And how much, you can break this out either by property or just in totality. How much do these all cash flow each month? And if so, how much?
Yes, out of 8 properties, we have 5 paid off and only 3 mortgages, and one of which is going to be paid off by 2027. So we're almost there. Cash flow is around $5,500 a month.
Wow, 5 paid off. How much in total equity is that?
How much in total equity?
Well, the value of the 3 townhomes are about $110 each. So we got $330 in the townhomes, $220 in we're sitting at about.
I mean, you said 80%, so yeah, 700 or 800 or 900 or something in equity, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Out of 1.3 million, I think it should be around between 700,000 to 800,000 of paid off properties.
Wow. Yeah, I think you guys are the first ones we've had on the show that have had 5 completely paid for rentals. Is that right, Jace?
Yeah, the only other one I can think of is actually another military member who lives in Korea, and he has, 20? I think he had over the years that he accumulated.
Rich with Alabama, right?
Yeah. He's the only one I can think of.
I heard the first time in the bigger pockets, and I looked in Montgomery, Alabama. The house is just so. I don't want to be putting too much into fixing up and the roof, and Other than that, I like to know the area, and we have great management companies, especially in Florida, that we trust them. Trust the 2 properties in Florida without even seeing them.
Wow.
The management company went, took a look, said, "Yep, good condition. We can rent it for this much," and that's how we agreed on the deal.
Wow. Yeah,
the numbers made sense.
I want to get into that because of the managing overseas. Obviously, I think some people would think that's complicated, but just back to your cash flow. So you said about $5,500 a month total cash flow, right?
That's right.
So you're close to, what is that, 56,000, right? Or 66,000 rather.
About 60-something thousand, yeah, 62.
I mean, that's amazing. Good for you guys. And is the plan to just keep paying off those other 3 and then just live off the cash flow from all of these rentals?
Yes, since one will be paid off by 2027, we're now even trying to do extra payments on that one. The other 2, yes, we want to do the extra principal payment, but not too much. It's low enough interest. It's cheap money to borrow. We don't want to be paying it off too quickly. But we definitely want to spread our income, want to have paid off real estate. He has his military pension. There's investments that right now the dividends are reinvested because we don't need them, but it's there for future diversification, right?
Yeah. And Justin, how much will the military pension be?
At minimum, we just kind of use the $2,500 a month mark. It's going to be a little hard to say with the final process. 23 years will put me at about 47% because I did choose what a lot of people frown upon, which was a Redux program where the military removes 10% of my retirement pay, but they give me, we had about 18,000, I think, once the taxes were taken out. I forget what the number was exactly, but they give me a lump sum, remove 10% from my retirement. And we did that knowing that we were going to stick that lump sum into investments. And we did the math with the interest rate, and it should pan out a little bit better that way. So we're looking at, $2,500 a month, possibly a little more.
Wow. So let's call it 30,000. And if you're 66, I mean, you guys could have 100,000 a year in cash flow, let's call it, right? In retirement.
Yeah, that was the goal, I think.
Yeah.
You said that was the goal?
That was the goal.
Where you said we want to get to 100?
Yes, I think it was at the beginning. It was a crazy dream, having maybe 10 properties with $1,000, because 10,000, it's a very good amount. You can live comfortably.
Yeah, totally. Wow, good for you guys. That's fantastic. So, do you think you'll buy more, or is 8 where it stops?
I think as I retire, we find out where we're going to live. I'm a fixer. I like to fix things up, whether it be houses or cars or whatever. So I would like to get into maybe flipping a few, using our knowledge of rental and all that stuff to play. If find some beat down houses, flip them around, and either rent them or sell them if the numbers are right. Maybe make a little bit of money that way. Maybe end up keeping a few more.
Yeah, I think we're too young to slow down.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever have interest, or I mean, some of the real estate investors rather that we interview on the podcast are pretty highly leveraged, right? So do you ever think, hey, maybe I should go put a mortgage on some of these and then go buy more houses, or is it just a total peace of mind to have it totally paid off and cash flowing and no worries?
No, I think crashes and opportunities will come. It's a cycles. We'd like to be paid off as much as we can and then just rather gather the cash, every year or every 2 years and buy property.
Yeah, I like the certainty of not being over leveraged. I don't really agree with that concept too well.
You sleep better.
Yeah. No, I think we're going to release probably Chris Hogan's episode here on this week. We're recording this mid to end of July just for our listeners, but we kind of pushed him on that and said, hey, how is somebody supposed to invest in real estate all cash, right? If you're just trying to get started. Anyway, so we talk about that, but I assume you had a mortgage on all of these at one point?
No,
not on 4 of them, no.
Yeah, we used, when she sold her first couple apartments, we used those to buy the townhomes, and then we had put away some of that money that we were bringing in, and we were able to pick up the other 2 single-family homes in cash. They were a little bit lower when we bought them as well, and they needed some renovation, so we got a good deal on those. And
the idea of buying multifamily is in the back of our head, and for the deal like that, of course, we're going to leverage, and I think it's much easier to do that when you have a cash flow like that. When you have paid off properties that cash flow, when you have a military pay and, other incomes coming in, it's not as scary to be leveraged. But at the beginning, it could be a trap.
Right. So let's come back to management. I know we mentioned it a little bit, but you have 2 management companies, I assume, right? One for each location?
Correct.
And they've obviously been good, or you would have found somebody else, but any issues with them, or are you stuck with both companies the whole time?
Yeah, we've stayed with the same 2. I would say we were, a little nervous at first, of course, with the first one, but we did our interviews and, checked in everything before we stuck with anybody. And she turned out to be a great property manager down in Florida. And she is, we don't question anything that goes on with her. She has everything broke out for us every month. And then Washington State has been the same way. He's been good. So, but we had a really good idea of what we were getting into already when we talked to him. So we kind of laid the groundwork pretty well, and it went well. Yeah,
you mentioned to what she sends you every month. What do they send you every month?
Yeah, it's been a little different between the 2, but nonetheless, it's an income spreadsheet. It shows everything that's coming in from all the properties, and then it'll show, of course, their cost coming out, and maybe any repairs or anything like that will show up on there. And then it'll have our total at the end, what we're going to end up expecting into our account. So,
And then do you have to give the okay on any repairs or repairs above a certain cost threshold, or do they just handle all of that without running it by you? How does that work?
They mentioned pretty much everything to us. I think the only things they really ask about is something like a refrigerator or a stove, appliances. But if it was a plumbing issue or something kind of minor, they just do it. They let us know that this happened and that it's already handled, what the cost was. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. So I want to go back. Rina, you mentioned, we talked about, or Jace asked about, right, having some cash on the sideline, and you mentioned it's saving it for either an opportunity or when the market goes down. So were you guys buyers in end of March and beginning of April when the markets, I believe the low, at least as of now, was March 23rd.
March 23rd, yes. Yeah. We scraped every pennies in the savings account. I think we took our chances and put our emergency fund, all the cash that we had. And on his part, he increased the TSP contribution in the TSP just for that month, rather than, it's usually we prorated, and he knows how much he wants to put in every month. But for that month, because everything was so low, he just increased to, I think, 60% of his paycheck, which he maxed whatever let us do. Yes.
And that was mostly what, index funds or single stocks, or what did you buy?
We're not playing with the single stocks yet. We're index fund, VTSAX, then small cap and tech.
So you've built up this great net worth, Rina and Justin, and you mentioned a little bit about that goal of maybe getting to a 6-figure passive income stream. Is there anything else out there as you've gone on this journey that has become a goal or something to strive for?
I think we have our FI number in the next 10, 12 years. It's like step-by-step goals. First it was the million. We got there. Now it's the bigger number that you get to the point where you bulletproof, with that 4%, with 3 kids, you can travel the world and be good.
What is that FI number for y'all, if you don't mind me asking?
12 million.
What was that, 12?
Yes.
She's smiling at me because I'm not as ambitious as her. But
He's happy with where we at.
Yes. 12 million is what she says. I know we could purchase our final home and make life perfectly happy and fine where we're at now. And we would naturally just grow anyways because of how we are. But I think we'll strive for 12 if that's what she wants.
I'm Jewish. It's in my blood. I cannot help myself. But,
so how did you arrive at 12?
Doing the math backwards, I guess. Don't get me wrong. We are happy, and happiness does not require any amount of income, because I know when we had nothing and we were very happy, it's something inside of you and we have it. We are very comfortable. But to be able to take your kids around the world just to let them see what we saw, or, if you have your own shop, to close it and just take 3 months, 6 months and be able to live something and then have a purpose, contribute, back, give it back. I think money is the tool rather than destination, and you can do a lot of good with a lot of money.
Yeah, totally.
Teach the kids what we're learning now in our 30s.
Yeah, that was my next question. How are you teaching your kids about what y'all have learned and the approach that y'all are taking?
I think we're modest in our everyday.
Yeah, I don't know that we're giving them any direct lessons as of yet. Our oldest daughter is 8, so Rina has given her allowances for doing things and whatnot. But I think as of right now, what we've done is just the way we carry ourselves with money. We don't drive a car that we could probably drive having our income. We don't live outside of our means or even up to them. So that's, I think, our initial contribution to them. As they get a little older, it'll be mom teaching them her investment ideas.
I think she, first of all, my 9-year-old, the oldest, she knows the names of the podcast. She already knows the guys by their voices because she's always in the back seat, and she knows the words investing. And to her, when she asked me about it, I explained it's pretty much like from a cartoon. You bury your money, your savings, and then the tree grows with the money on the tree. She knows I'm being just to put in ideas, she has having fun with it. She knows what credit card, because there were times when we would go to the store and for little ones, for every yes, they get about 5 no's. 5 times we're going to go to the store and they're not going to get that Kinder Egg. And for 6 times, it's a yes. And my oldest would ask, why not? We have credit card. So there was a talk on the way back home that credit card, it's like a knife. It's a great tool. It can damage you or it can help you, right? Depends how you use it.
Totally.
So they get their lessons.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So getting to that 12 million mark, is that something that you want to hit in your 40s, 50s, 60s? When's the time frame for that?
I think this is towards our retire early age, which in my head is around 50, 55. We have about 15 years or more. That's when you could stop working if you want. But right now, I know a lot of financial independence, a lot of people excited about retire early. I think we're passionate about certain things we like to do and not ready to retire yet. So 12 million would be the end number. When we would probably stop putting it all in equities, we'll go 60-40, how everybody playing it safe, and just slow down.
Yeah. Do you plan to continue to accumulate rental properties as part of getting to that 12 million?
I think so. My big dream always was maybe build or purchase a multifamily.
Rina does,
Apartment.
and Justin doesn't, right?
Oh,
No, well, yeah, I just I'm okay with doing some renovations and whatnot. She is, as she mentioned, she's got this dream of let's say an apartment complex or a larger building with many units. I don't know how many we would go, but and I'm with her on that. I just I think part of our baby steps would be the renovation type of stuff until we have enough. I would not want to leverage myself too far, even for something that great or grand.
Yeah, totally.
I must say that he surprised me big time. He renovated completely two of the properties that we have in Washington. Floors, electrical, plumbing. He just added a sink, added the light features and everything else. That's when, in my eyes, I was like, ka-ching. He did a great job renovating that I think would love doing some flips once he retires.
Well, that's awesome. I want to switch gears here just a little bit, Justin, and ask you about a career in the military. I think you're probably, I don't know, Clark, maybe our second, third, or fourth that's been on still active duty in the military. And I think for some of our listeners, it's surprising how many millionaires we have that have been involved in the military. Can you just speak to having a career in the military a little bit and maybe some of the benefits that go along with that maybe people aren't as aware of?
Absolutely. Well, what we've already kind of hit on was the opportunity to pack up and move. And the military pays for us to move, and they give us BAH. And the way we see that is Uncle Sam's going to pay for our house. And then when he picks us up and moves us somewhere else, we're going to ask somebody else to pay for our house. So, we ask said bank to loan us money, and we never put our money back into that bank. So the military gives us that opportunity. I don't think sailors or anybody in the military should try to stay in one place very long, see the world and buy houses everywhere you go type of thing. They also give us the TSP aspect, which you can get that in any federal job, but on the military side we have that. You can put as of right now $19,500 a year in there, so that's a huge benefit when it comes to an IRA.
Do you recommend it, Justin?
I sure do. I do. I definitely think it gives our young people a different perspective on life, that not everything is for free. I don't know. There's a lot of young people out there that are seemingly, they think that things in life are just given to them, colleges and whatnot. Got to work for that stuff. And the military gives you that concept, I think.
Yep. Good point. Totally agree with you. So just before we wrap up and get to some of our rapid fire questions, I just want to ask you, we spoke a little bit before we started recording about how you guys both grew up, right? And some of the backgrounds and how you worked from a young age and then from there. So as much as you're comfortable sharing, maybe tell us a little bit about both of your backgrounds and how that shaped who you are today.
Well, I grew up in the country that doesn't exist today, the USSR, where, we didn't have a lot. I think saving for emergency was in every house. Every family grew up with it. Mindset, working, saving, retirement funds was something built in from my grandma. I grew up in single family homes, so just with me and my mom, I started working very early, around 15, and worked most of my life until we decided to have children. I think that mentality of not having much, but needing to work a little harder, that's something that helped, motivated us, to do a little better, give a little more.
And then, for me, it's there's a lot of similarities to that. I grew up also in a single family home. Both my parents worked very hard, 12 plus hours every day. All they knew was saving, paying off their debts. They didn't have any investments. Wasn't part of what we grew up around. And for us, my older brother and my younger brother, we were taught to work hard and save your money. So we started, as Rina said, we started early as well. I think I was 12 when I started detasseling corn and didn't have a whole lot around me to sway me any other way except for what mom and dad taught me. So once I joined the Navy and started getting my own ideas, that's when things started changing for us.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, and also remarkable that you both don't have a college degree, right? And here you are, millionaires, and you'll be multimillionaires for sure. So we appreciate you sharing. And Justin, obviously, thanks for your service.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I love doing it.
So just to close up here with some rapid fire questions, what's the most expensive car you guys have ever purchased?
That's so funny, because he just bought a car in December. Once we got to Italy, he got the car he's been dreaming about for a while now.
$30,000 car, and it's 25 years old. It's the Nissan Skyline GTR.
So when you went overseas, did you just sell everything? Did you sell all the cars?
No. Actually, my truck that I've had since I was probably 24 years old. My first time coming back to the U.S. from being overseas, I bought a 99 Chevy K1500. It's my baby, and I've had it since. I paid $10,000 for it up front, and then I've done some things and made it mine. But I still have that in storage back there. And we brought our family car over here to Italy with us. It's a 2010 Chevy Traverse, and it's
I should have answered. On my side, my cars were between 1,000, the cheapest, to now the most expensive with 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd like to keep our cars though until we
drive it to the ground.
Yeah, drove it to the ground.
Yeah.
But I am a little bit of an enthusiast, a car enthusiast. So
just a tad with a Nissan Skyline, right?
Yeah. But remember, it is an older model. It's an R33. It's not the new fancy stuff. I like fixing things. I don't want to go out and buy the brand new Corvette or GTR. As much as they're awesome, and I would love to drive one and enjoy it. I would take it if it was free. But I like to work on them and make them my own. So.
What about most expensive meal? Most expensive meal out that you guys have personally paid for?
I think when we got married in Japan, we did not have wedding. So that's kind of on the other side of it. I think we paid about $1,100 or $1,200 we invited few people to the restaurant and paid for the food and drinks.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're comfortable sharing, how old were you when you became a millionaire?
I want to say it was 2018 or 19 when we crossed that. Market did 30%, right, that year.
Wow, so that's pretty amazing. You guys are already up another $300,000 or so just in the last year and a half. Wow.
Yes.
Okay, we talked about predicted retirement stuff. Have you guys ever used a financial advisor?
No, we do it ourselves.
Okay.
That's one of the advice I would give people. You have to educate yourself on the finance subject because no one will take care of your money like you would. And we come across it every single day, whether it's credit card, mortgage, car loan, or anything else. So do it yourself.
Yeah, great. How much do you spend a year annual household spending?
I think it's between including mortgage or without.
Without, let's just say living expenses, maybe.
Between 30 and 40,000.
Okay, so you guys are pretty frugal then. But I guess you do have the military stipends, right, to cover some things.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Any books or websites or podcasts you recommend that have been influential for you?
Simple Path to Wealth was the first one. Pretty awesome. Secrets of Millionaire Minds, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yes, that was the classic. And then, of course, The Millionaire Next Door, which brings everything so into perspective.
Yeah.
Podcasts, it's a money guy show. I love their data and everything. Stocking Benjamins, they're very entertaining. You guys, definitely.
Yeah. So just last couple questions here in closing. What does it mean to be happy and fulfilled for you guys? And has the money, becoming a millionaire and growing your net worth, has that brought money and fulfillment, or what does money and fulfillment mean to you?
I don't know. For me personally, happiness, it's within you. People can be rich and not happy. People can be poor and very happy. The optimism and happiness, it's inside, I think, all of us. But money definitely brings you that peace of mind. You sleep better. Your kids have that, gonna have a...
Yeah, you have a sense of security. Right?
Sense of security, exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
The tranquility that, yes.
Yeah, I would say the same, with the exception that I see money as kind of a foundation. It's just a fact that you gotta have in life, and if you build that foundation well, it's not the importance or the important part of being happy. It just allows you to do all those things easier that, spend the time with the family, go do things with the family and not worry about it. But the happiness definitely comes from the family time and doing things that you love to do more than anything. So it's a little bit of a split.
I think money definitely lets you own your life, own your time, just like Ricky Robbins was saying in the book. And it's great to have that time to yourself.
Yeah, really good answer. And just last question here in closing, are there any mistakes you've made that you would advise other people against, or are there things you're glad you did, or any final words of advice?
I think it's not really a big mistake, but I kind of regret not starting IRAs a little earlier when we first heard about it. We contemplated and just thought about it too long. For the younger listeners, I would definitely recommend learn about compound interest. It is eighth wonder of the world. If you start early and invest regularly, continuously, it will pay off. For older listeners, don't buy too big of a house than you need. Don't buy new cars, probably. It's a waste. And definitely don't spend money just to turn heads. I mean, keeping up with Jonas's, and impressing people you never see again, it's not worth it.
Yeah, good advice. There's that quote, right? Spending, I can't remember, I'm going to butcher it, right? But spending money to impress people you don't know or who you'll never see again, right? Something like that.
Exactly.
Correct.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much, both of you, Rina and Justin. Net worth of over 1.3 million, 8 rentals, and growing, living overseas. Justin works in the military. So thank you guys so much. I know it's a little bit late for you there. So thanks for coming on the show and making time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thanks for listening to the Millionaires Unveiled podcast with Clark Sheffield and Chase Mattinson. For more stories, investment opportunities, and information, check out our website at millionairesunveiled.com. See you next time when you'll hear from another everyday millionaire.